What if I told you that one of the greatest writers in history spent years battling fear, guilt, depression, and a deep spiritual crisis, even after becoming world famous? The names War and Peace and Anna Karenina are now considered masterpieces. But behind those legendary novels was a man who often felt completely lost. Born into Russian aristocracy in 1828, Tolstoy grew up surrounded by wealth and privilege. But tragedy struck early. He lost both of his parents while still a child. That sense of emptiness followed him for years. As a young man, Tolstoy lived recklessly. He gambled heavily, drank excessively, and constantly searched for meaning. He even joined the army and witnessed the horrors of war firsthand during the Crimean War. Those brutal experiences would later shape the vivid battle scenes inside War and Peace. But success didn't bring him peace. When War and Peace became a literary sensation, Tolstoy was praised across Europe as a genius. Then came Anna Karenina, another masterpiece that explored love, betrayal, and the pressures of society. From the outside, Tolstoy seemed to have everything: fame, wealth, a family, and global admiration. Inside, he was falling apart. In his 50s, Tolstoy entered a devastating spiritual crisis. He became obsessed with questions about death and the meaning of life. He later confessed that he would hide ropes from himself because he feared his own thoughts. Despite all his success, life itself felt meaningless. This crisis changed everything. Tolstoy began rejecting the luxurious lifestyle of the Russian elite. He dressed more simply, worked alongside peasants in the fields, and searched for spiritual truth through religion and philosophy. But he also became deeply critical of organized religion and the government. His beliefs became so controversial that the Russian Orthodox Church eventually excommunicated him. What makes this story fascinating is how deeply his personal suffering shaped his writing. In War and Peace, Tolstoy questioned whether history is really controlled by powerful leaders or by countless ordinary people making small choices. The novel's emotional depth came from his own struggle to understand human purpose. And in Anna Karenina, the character Konstantin Levin became almost a mirror of Tolstoy himself. Levin constantly wrestles with faith, morality, and the meaning of existence. Tolstoy poured his own spiritual doubts directly into that character. The famous opening line of Anna Karenina says, "Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way." That line wasn't just fiction. It reflected Tolstoy's own complicated marriage and emotional turmoil. As he grew older, Tolstoy became increasingly radical in his beliefs. He promoted nonviolence and rejected materialism. His ideas would later influence figures like Mahatma Gandhi and even civil rights movements decades later. But his final years were still filled with conflict. In 1910, at 82, Tolstoy secretly left his home in the middle of the night. Weak and ill, he collapsed during the journey and died at a small railway station called Ostapovo. One of the greatest authors died not in a palace, but in a quiet station far from the world that celebrated him. And maybe that's what makes Tolstoy's story so powerful. He wasn't just writing about human suffering, he was living it. Through every page, Tolstoy transformed his personal pain and spiritual confusion into literature that still speaks to millions today. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for Literature Literally.